Hello and welcome back to the Replay Booth podcast. My name's Ella.
I'm Catalina.
I'm Keiri,
I'm Asa. And I'm Gus.
and welcome back to episode 2 of the Replay Booth. Today's guest is Cooper Scruggs, and this week's topic is centered around shaping sports media, crisis, evolutions, and beyond. And we are so excited to welcome Cooper. He's the owner of CS Productionz, a photography and videography service. And he says that he started holding a camera when he was about 9 years old. The YouTube videos that he made with his friends helped him find his passion for creating content. And in high school, he established a content creating service for his school called Fox Creek TV, which delivered hype videos for sports and interviews with students. And by the end of his sophomore year, he bought his own camera and established CS Productionz, which has helped him further his career as a sports photographer and videographer. Now, Cooper is a graphic communications major here at Clemson and a videography and photography student creative intern. So, welcome, Cooper, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And before we start, we all just want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and having a conversation with us. And so, Ella, do you want to start?
Sure. So I just wanted to ask, as a photographer and videographer, how do you build those strong communication that build strong communication and relationships with athletes and sports organizations to kind of, get things?
Me personally, I would not be afraid to just speak up and just talk to players. Like players, like they're people too. Like you can't like look at somebody as if they're like so much higher than you and you can't like talk to them. Like everyone is on the same playing field and you have to value them, treat them with respect, but don't put them on a pedestal to where you can't talk to them. So I would say that is my main thing. Like, and talk to people and make connections is the main thing. Because connections is way stronger than what your photography ability could be up here. But if you don't have the connections, you're not going to get to where you want to be. So yeah, that's the main thing.
And I like how you brought that up because the main advice that I've gotten here is networking is everything and it's all about who you know. So yeah. So I met you a few summers back when we were working together, and I remember you telling me that you were into photography. And so just being able to see how far your brand has come, just watching it year by year and how big you've gotten has just been so incredible to watch from afar. So what inspired you to pursue a career in athletic photography, and how did your journey lead you here to Clemson?
I would say during that summer job, I was inspired just by the fact I needed to make some money and I had a camera and I started doing portrait photography, and it led me to start doing sports photography for my local high school, Fox Creek High School. And I was doing football games, and I was like charging kids like $20 for like 50 to 100 photos, and the money just kept going in, and I was like, this is actually kind of enjoyable. And this felt like something that had like I didn't have to put like any effort in, and I loved doing it and I was getting good at it. So like it just turned into a career from there, and I realized I could do this on the collegiate level. And so I reached out to some people in the creative solutions department at Clemson, and luckily I got accepted, and that's where I'm at today. So yeah.
Oh, that was really cool how you did all of that. But what advice in particular would you give somebody wanting to pursue a career in sports media, especially in your realm of work?
hmm I would say don't go into it unless you are completely invested into it. Like, for instance, like if you don't if you don't know what you're doing, I would say just figure it out, because I feel like you have to be all into it, because if you don't give your full effort, you're gonna miss out on some opportunities. Like, and also the networking aspect of it is very important. Like if you don't speak to people and you just go to games and you don't talk to anybody, and maybe you post, but like you don't interact with people, you're not going to make connections. And these connections are going to get you to places like I'm good friends with Clemson's SID with basketball. And so that gets me into the basketball games. I might not be the most talented photographer here, but because I'm good friends and I do the work and I do the work that he likes, I get into the games and I shoot the games. So connections is probably the main thing I would stress to anybody who's trying to go to where I'm trying to go. So yeah.
What's up, Cooper? I'm really familiar with a lot of your work, and you've done some great stuff with the men's basketball team, like you just said. So, with that being said, what would you say is like the easiest or your favorite sport to do photography for, and what is kind of your least favorite sport?
Uh, I would say it's in between basketball and football. I think football on a social aspect is probably a little bit more rewarding, but I would say basketball is easier to shoot. So I would have to give it to basketball just because it's easier to shoot. Like I can just sit there and shoot, you know. Like in football, you have to like if we make a big play, I'm gonna have to run down the field and I just tore my ACL a couple weeks ago. Well, not a couple weeks ago. I got surgery. So like I can't run. But yeah. Um yeah, I would say that basketball and then my least favorite. Oh, man. Mm. I would say I played soccer, but like I dislike shooting it. Like I dislike it. Like I just feel like if you're just there stationary, you have to wait for like a long time for them to run towards you. So yeah, I would say soccer.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so I won't take that soccer answer to any offense with me wearing the hat and everything. But my question I have is that have you had any problems with security regarding like entrances or access to the field? And if so, how was it handled?
I would say I've had no issues at Clemson just because we run things very well here. But on a high school level, you'll have it's really the pick of the lottery because if you try to email ADs, it's going to be a mixed bag. Like they're either going to respond to you or not. And sometimes they'll just let you into a game. Like they don't even have to show a credential or anything. They'll see your camera and they'll respect the fact that you're a photographer. But I've maybe had a couple instances where people just don't value that and they're just like, yeah, you're not going to go on the field. And I don't know, it's difficult to deal with. But luckily, I've only maybe gotten kicked out once or twice. And both those times I've resolved it. But yeah, it's tough when you do get kicked out. But yeah.
I just want to say I feel you with the ACLs. I've torn both of my ACLs because of soccer,
Oh, okay.
and it's rough.
Yeah.
But it's rough.
Yeah.
But I was gonna ask, what are some of your favorite memories, or like maybe one of your favorite games you've photographed, or something along those lines?
Okay. I would say, I mean, the Duke game a couple weeks ago I mean, last week was pretty nice. Kentucky was nice. I would say my first football game shooting was Stanford. That was fun. Um, I would say big games. I would say like probably the first state championship I got to shoot because the previous semester in high school I got rejected. So like it was a big deal to me to like get over that hump and do that. So I would say that's a big achievement, but those are some games that were important to me.
So lately in our class, we've been talking about the evolution of sports media and how far it's come, even in the past like few years with the development of technology. So how do you see the role of sports media evolving in the next few years or the next decade? And yeah, how do you like feel like you will handle that?
hmm I would say that sports media is shifting more towards short form content and videos. I mean, TikTok and Instagram Reels are like the main thing right now. So, me being a photographer, I'm trying to diversify my my resume to where, like I can get hired somewhere. So I do video on the side for Clemson. Not as much me personally, but I do videos on the side. And then I want to start trying to get into graphics just because I think this, like being able to take the photo and do the graphic for the photo is very valuable because when you get hired somewhere, they probably just want to pay one person to do everything instead of three people to do three different things. So I would say the changes in the future are definitely going to be everything's going to be focused on short form content, no more long form. So yeah.
And this might be a little bit like a challenging question. I don't know, maybe you have an easy answer, but if you could photograph or film any sports event in history, this could be from the past or the future, what would it be and why?
Mm, I mean, I would say something that would have been achievable that I would have wanted to do is that I know a couple people who shot the college football playoff and the national championship in Atlanta this past season, and I would say that would be an event that I would want to do. And then I would say March Madness would be great. Like that would be a big like achievement for me. And then obviously like the Super Bowl. That was in New Orleans. I'm from New Orleans, so like I would have wanted to do that. So yeah, those are some events.
Are there any like personal qualities, like a certain mindset you think you have to like thrive in the sports media or photography world?
I would say just like if you get a rejection, don't like give up. Like there's always going to be another chance, and you just got to do the most with what you're given at any point. And yeah, that's what I would say.
And you just mentioned about hitting like the big events that you might want to photograph or take videos at. And are you allowed to like travel with the Clemson teams? And if so, what has been your favorite destination so far?
I haven't done too much traveling, but the sports that I'm assigned to in my internship, I am allowed to travel with. I would say my favorite travel trip I did was last spring semester. I traveled with softball and we traveled to South Carolina and we beat them 7-0. So that was, it's always good to beat the Gamecocks. So yeah.
So I was going to ask, how do you communicate your own creative vision when you're taking pictures or editing and also meet the needs of the client if they don't align?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, I will say I haven't run into many issues where like the editing, they don't like the style. But if they do, I'll obviously re-edit it and you know, try to do what they want. But luckily for me, usually the clients like what I give, so I don't have to do that much. So yeah.
Okay, I know you have to leave soon because you said you have to shoot a basketball game, but I was wondering if there's anyone here at Clemson, whether it's someone in your internship or in the athletic department that has had a profound impact on you, whether it's something that they might have told you or maybe just a tip in general.
I've had a couple people. There's a dude named Ben Choka. He's a really good dude. And then there's a videographer for basketball, Quentin. He's nice. And then a couple dudes named Will Langston and Zeke. They're all great dudes, and they're actually all do. They either do video or graphics, which is both things I'm not great at, and I get to learn so much from them and it helps me just grow as a creator, and they're never like hesitate to give me advice on anything.
I know you have to leave in a second, so you guys want to do just one last question, do you think? And so I guess what is like one of your favorite moments that you've ever captured?
Oh man. uh oh man, that's tough. I I think about that, but I don't know. Like I couldn't put on it. I'd maybe do like a top 10. Like I got the other day I got Cooper Flagg's slip. That was pretty fun. I got and that was a good photo. I got unfortunately we lost to the Gamecocks in football, but I got their running back. I got like Avion Terrell like forcing the fumble as a photo. I also got like one of Barrett Carter like screaming. That was a really good game for me shooting wise. So I have a bunch of photos. Um, those are just some on the top of my head. Like I did a in high school, I did a media day with the football team uh on a beach. And that was something that really went well. So yeah, those are just some special moments.
Well, we just want to thank you again for sharing your time and your experiences and your advice. And we all hope that you have a great rest of your day and night.
Appreciate it. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank
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 you.
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 So I thought the most interesting part of the interview, or like the thing that kind of stood out to me most, was when he was talking about the future of videography and photography in sports world and how it's switching to short form media. And I really relate to that because I am notorious for missing or like forgetting the time games start, and I'm not going to go back and watch like a 3 hour game when I have the option to watch like a 10-minute highlight video of the game and then be able to go back. And honestly, sometimes I just wait for the highlights if I'm stressed out about a game, because sometimes I cannot be stressed out when I'm watching sports and it's too much. So that's what I thought was like a really cool takeaway, and to hear somebody that's so in on that side of the media.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. Kind of to add on to that, with he does a lot of work with the men's basketball team, and there's a bunch of short form films that they put out in creative wise, which is like so much better for fan interaction and student interaction. There's a bunch of people on social media in general. They're able to, if they're not able to make the game, they're able to watch that little short film, and it's a lot easier for everyone to be engaged. And it's a cooler experience, I think, too, and it looks great. They do a great job, so I totally agree, and I think it's a cool way to kind of promote athletics and promote like to go to more games. And I think he does a great job, and a bunch of other guys do a great job as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know, being like a student and not an athlete, obviously, I think it's cool to like watch the highlights and like repost cool like plays and stuff like that, especially now that it's basketball season. And I don't know, watching all of that and just like seeing all of Clemson students doing it, I just think it's like cool and like kind of brings all of us together.
Yeah, and that relates to what Sam was saying in our class about how with the podcast have like a little clip at first, try to get everybody's attention and everything with the short form, and then we can engage and produce the long-term media.
I agree with everything y'all are saying, but kind of to play like devil's advocate to it, like I just feel like the short form media, not only with sports, but just with media in general, especially with TikTok. I know for me, I can't speak for everybody. My attention span is this big. And so I just feel like with sports, you kind of need the full game experience, and kind of cutting it short might take away from the fan experience. So I feel like in the future, though, having like shorter clips or shorter media to cater to audiences, I think that they also need to maybe promote the longer clips and the longer games, because, it's not really helping our mental state by just throwing 3 second, 5 second, 10 second clips at us all the time. But yeah, that's what I think. What did y'all think about the networking aspect of it? I think he did mention, get your name out there, talk to people at games, but he never really went into following up. So what do y'all think about networking in general, and what experience y'all have with it?
I think network is really important overall and not even in like his realm of work, but I think I don't know, like even like getting into Clemson, like I reached out to a lot of people and like followed up with them. And a lot of people are saying that they like when students like show they care and I guess keep going and following up. So I think it's also cool how kind of connecting it back to what Cooper said. He said he might not be the best like photographer, but he has so many connections that people want to work with him. So I think that was really inspiring to hear. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, that's very true. I think in kind of like the real world, when you're getting a job, like you might not be the best at what you do, but like if you have connections and you know people and people like you as a person, it can kind of get you a long way. And it seems like he's doing a good job of that. Seems like he knows a bunch of people here at Clemson, and it started with his work in high school. And it's kind of just cool to see how his brand just keeps growing and growing, and all the connections he's making is just really helping him out. And it'll help all of us out too if we can start making connections like that.
Yeah, I've been on the bad end of networking sometimes because I haven't had those connections that other people in my field have. And I've been not denied things or positions just because they don't know me, even if I am like a better candidate. Uh, it's just all about who you know and getting your foot in the door, and then you climb up the ladder from there. So I started working with event operations with Clemson Athletics, and hopefully that can get myself up the ladder somewhere. And one of the things that stood out with me from what Connor said was with event operations, I've had to deal with Rhino security and everything about getting into the games and everything. And I think we do good here at Clemson, just like Connor said. But his experience in high school about having to get like kicked out from games because of his camera not allowed in, I thought that was kind of funny because I related to that because I've seen people be on that receiving end because they don't have that connection to get inside and get those field passes and everything.
Definitely agree with not being the best at it. I do like being in sports is hard because it's not for the weak, I would say. You definitely have to kind of be outspoken, and that's not really who I am. But like you said, like I'm not the best at it. It's easy to say, hi, my name is blah, 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 and this is what I do. Can we talk? But it's the following up with that. And like you said, building yourself up the ladder. And Cooper has done a really good job with that. And so I think for all the people watching, just know that don't only, tell people your name, tell people what you want to do, but, make yourself known and build relationships that are genuine. And I think that can get you really far. But yeah, that's what I thought.
I remember somebody told me this quote where it's like, sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. And like that's networking for me is so intimidating. Like I had to do some stuff today and literally had to like hype myself up for it because it makes me so nervous to put myself out there. And like I think it was just really cool to hear somebody who had done it so many times. It just kind of became a second nature and also just kind of inspiring in that kind of way. But you can see how networking has helped him get to where he is. And I just think that's really
Do you guys feel like as you've gone through college a little bit that networking has gotten easier for you as you've like done it multiple times trying to figure it out? For me, I mean, I think networking is hard to do, talking to people, promoting yourself. But I feel like as you go through it a couple times in different scenarios, it kind of gets easier. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that are, but I think just getting like reps of networking is kind of something that you can do to help yourself out.
Yeah, I think it's gotten way easier for me. I don't know, like I feel like a lot of people probably agree with this, but it's such like a big change going from high school to college because you kind of go from like being with your parents to like having to advocate for yourself. So I don't know, like I think at first talking to professor like last year as a freshman was like terrifying because I was like, they don't really care. And then I realized like advocating for yourself and like even knowing one professor, they could help you with other professors or even like in the job world. Like I just think it's important to always like show you care and like network in that aspect.
For me, from freshman year to now my junior year, I would say that I've gotten better at it. But like I said, it's the following up that's hard. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a bug or a fly in their ears, just constantly like nagging at them. And, you don't really want to annoy them, but you have to do what you have to do to get to where you want to go. And so, yeah, I think I don't think it ever gets easier as a person who doesn't really like to be in people's faces all the time. But like I said, if you want to get to a certain spot and be successful, especially in this field where it is about who you know, then you will do what you have to do.
Yeah, I'm the president of Central Spirit now for this year, and it's definitely made me step out of my shell, being the face of a big club. I think it's like the third largest in Clemson, and now I'm the one that has to go around and say hey to everybody and greet people and make those connections. Whereas the past, I was one sitting in the back having them come to me. And it's just making me get out of my shell. Freshman year, I knew nobody here. I graduated with a class of 120, and I was one of two people that went out of state. So I had no connections except for Sam Sorrell, the director of operations for women's lacrosse. And I interviewed him for one of my classes freshman year, and I need to get back in touch with him. It's like he's doing great, lacrosse is doing great. It'd just be good to chat with him, maybe meet up at the ESO club or something. And that's what people I think don't appreciate or realize that they can do is just hang out with people. Like it doesn't have to always be business official. It can just be another day and just realize that people are people and not like businessmen.
Anyone have any final remarks or anything else?
No, I don't really got much, but I just really appreciate Cooper coming on the show. He did a really good job. And yeah, it's really cool to hear his story.
Yeah, it was great to talk to Cooper and everything, and just hear his voice and side from like the video side of everything. Because as a fan, you don't see all that.
So thank you to Cooper. And does anyone have anything else? No? Okay, so thank you for watching episode 2 of the replay booth, and we will see you next time.